Hey friends, I am back this week to talk about the things I am making, and I want to welcome you to a Crocheter's Journal. This is where I talk about the things that I am making right now, the things I'm finishing, the things I'm starting, the things that I am unburying and finding homes for as I journey through 2026, trying to use up what I own and finish what I've started. Um, Today is Thursday, July 16th, 2026, and it is smoky out. I live in western Wisconsin on the Minnesota-Wisconsin border in a very small river town called St. Croix Falls. And we have wildfires in upper Minnesota, and it is very smoky. And whenever there's smoke that comes from hundreds of miles away, I am always just so sad about the animal life, the people quality of life, um, the destruction. Summer is lightning and fires, and it's some years aren't as bad as others. We had a lot of rain in our area for most of spring, and then in 3 days it went from 60 to 90 and just has been hot. I'm not real sure about northern Minnesota, but they have a lot of fire, and in Canada as well. But I think most of the smoke we're getting is coming from Minnesota, and I don't know when it's going to get any better. So it's a little bit of a bummer for us, but mostly I'm just thinking a lot about the people who live up there um, and what everyone's going through. So my thoughts are with them today. I am in my sewing room today, not the sitting room. This is a quilt I made called Plaidish. It's a free pattern online. It is it is fun. It is really fun. It just turns out it's so clever. It's a very easy pattern. It's 3 blocks. It's just 3 blocks. And you really learn about value, light, medium, and dark. And I cannot recommend it enough. And if you look on Instagram and you do hashtag Plaidish, Plaidish, you will see a lot of different versions. And I used scraps. So yeah, it was very, very fun. So I also wanted to say I was looking through my whips. Now, my yarn whips, not my fabric and all the other things that I do, just my yarn whips. And all of my whips are currently all started in 2026. I'm so excited. That's pretty good. That is pretty good. I have accomplished or finished up all of the things that I have started before this year. And so I'll take that. Because if you could see the view from where I'm sitting in my sewing room, it's a crisis situation in here. Yeah, at the end of the video, I'll talk more about our new craft room and how we're rearranging things. It was a constant change here, and I can't wait till we get everything kind of settled. If ever, I don't know. Do we ever get just settled? You know, you just get settled and you think, I think I want that furniture over there. So yeah. Okay. So for finished objects for this podcast, I did finish Matt's um, bamboo socks. I don't have them. I already gave them to him. I will put a picture up so you can see them finished. I did post on Instagram. You can find me on Instagram under a Crocheter's Journal. So it's just it's not, I don't post a ton, but I do try to post somewhat consistently, but I really only post when I finish something. I might need to post a little more often, but you can find the pictures there, but I will put a picture up here. So I finished those. That was the last project I finished in the month of June, and it counts as my July socks. So if you haven't been here before, I'm trying to do at least one pair of socks every month, and also do one tiny tree sock from Summer Sock Designs. Oh, Summerly Design Co. Oh, I can't believe I almost forgot that. I love her. I watch all her stuff. So Summerly Design Co. has a free pattern called Tiny Tree Socks. I am trying to make one of those a month. So I have 12 by Christmas time to put into a garland. And that turned out So cute. Okay, so she gives you a chart if you wanna do the lice stitch. Such a horrible name. And I keep forgetting it's called the lice stitch, so I keep calling it the flea stitch. But I've just been doing my own thing with the pattern, but this time I thought, "Okay, I'm going to do the option that she gave for, an afterthought heel and also for, because I had been doing heel and, the heel turn and gusset. I had been doing that. My nose itches every time I do these. I'm just like this all the time. I'm so sorry. Um, but I did it. I did the flea stitch, the lice stitch. I think that's the grossest names. I seem to feel like it's called the seed stitch because they're like little seeds, but that's a totally different stitch. But this is the my mini for this month. And I use two different yarns that are merino and silk blend. Um, it's not superwash. I don't know if you can see. It just turned out super cute. And this yarn is really soft. And I can use it for socks, but I don't. I tend to only use superwash nylon blend. I've just learned over time, having used and acrylic and um, regular merino blends, non-superwash. I will get myself in trouble because when I go to wash it, something happens. So I don't use it for socks, but boy, I'm tempted because it's just the softest thing. I'm very, very happy with this little guy. So I got that done. So that's um, my July tiny tree sock and mat socks. And then, so I don't know if you were here last time, I was talking about, last two times I've been talking about how if I don't do socks in tandem, I tend to not finish the second sock very fast, and I have to push the whole time, and I stop enjoying it as much, and then I get distracted by casting on other things, and I'm trying not to cast on more socks right now, and for a reason, I'll get to that. But so I was struggling with Matt's bamboo socks, and I was struggling with my helical socks. After I talked to you the last podcast, I went and I finished, I think I had the toe on one sock, and then I started and finished the other sock. I just thought, get it done. And I did block these. I don't use blockers. I don't like how it's just stretched out. I bought some. I have them. I don't like it. I just wet them and soak them, and I just lay them out and dry them, and they still block so nice. But here's the fabric. I love it. It was feeling pretty firm. As soon as I blocked it, the yarn got crazy soft. Oh, and I've already worn them twice. That's why they look a little bit like they've been worn because they have. I can't wait. I know podcasters that are like, oh, I've been holding on to these to show you. I will try. It's unlikely to happen. My grandson's birthday was last Saturday, and I made his birthday cake, and we went over for a pool party. They have a pool, an above ground pool. My grandson will live in the pool. He's 4, he's very autistic, and he will live in that pool. And I got my first hug from him. It's a backwards hug, but it's a hug. And he turned 4, and I about died. His other grandma's been working with him, and boy, we're just segueing really quick here. I told my husband the first time he says grandma, I will probably spontaneously combust. But it was a great day, and I wore my socks, and I just enjoyed that. It was such a wonderful day, and I'm so glad that I just decided to wear them. And then I met a friend I haven't seen in a year for coffee, and I wore them to coffee. I just couldn't help myself. So yeah, those are done. Um, so those are all my finished objects. However, I will say I do have a fourth thing that came off my list. If you guys remember, I had an amigurumi kit. I did start it. I did work on it. I got almost all of it done. I got everything done except the legs. I got one leg done and halfway through another, and I ran out of yarn from the kit. So, I didn't really get upset. I but I did just throw it away. Because you need this I used it. I did everything they said. I used the hook they said. So either my family might have misplaced some of the yarn. I just ran out of white, but even the brown wasn't going to be enough. There was a white. It was a white and brown dog, and it just wasn't going to be enough. Nope. So not even close. So either my tension's too loose, or and there's no way to know that. And I was not going to rip it all out and try again. And I was not interested in actually doing it out of different yarn and starting all over, because this was something that was given to me. It wasn't part of a plan. I've been talking to my husband about how I need to stop doing that, where I take other people's unfinished projects. I can look around and see a few right now. They're like, oh, I started this, but I really don't like it. And I thought maybe you could do something out of it, or I cut this all out and then the colors don't go together. Do you want it? And I'm like, sure. I have to quit doing that. So I just like, my brain just wants the challenge of, I wonder what I could do with it. And I might need to stop doing that, because then I just end up with stuff. So I did just throw all of that in the garbage, which is a very foreign feeling as somebody who actually thrifts for fabric and is always trying to recycle and repurpose. But there was really nothing to be done for it. So that is now off my list. It's not done, but it is gone. So there's that. So those are all my finished objects. Works in progress. I have 4 works in progress, and then I have a couple of honorable mentions. I'm not going to show those to you. I didn't get a lot done on them, and so I'm not going to waste your time showing you this much stuff. But I did work on a variety of things. So first of all, Patricia's rainbow socks. So Patricia is a 7-year-old little girl. Just by personality, very strong. Like, she'd be a great lawyer. Like, whew. And I am making socks for her. Her favorite color is rainbow. So these are her socks so far. I am just finding variegated yarns in my scrap bin. A lot of ends. That's fine. I don't love ends, but I'm okay to sit down and watch some TV and just put all my ends in. And I certainly could have weaved them as I go, and I might try that next time. But for these, I didn't want to bother. I just did, I think it's 12 rounds of knit 2, purl 2, and then it's 5 rounds of each color. And I'm just kind of blending from one to another. I am doing these in tandem. I've learned my lesson, and I am on to some peach colored yarn on this section. And then I'm hoping to do some yellow, and then maybe get into some teal. And I'm going to do an afterthought heel on these. I really like afterthought heels, because then you can just go and go and go and go and go and make a tube as long as you want, and then you just move up from the toe to where the heel needs to go. So basically 2 inches or so shy of the length of your foot, and you stick your heel in, and they just fit lovely. And the heel is the same as the toe. I mean, it's the same concept of, you do a round and then you decrease, and you do a round and decrease, and then you Kitchener stitch it at the end, you graft it. So these have come pretty far. I don't have my stitch marker. I must have either come off or I moved it. I try to do that too. Podcasters are so great about, oh, here's where I was last time. And I try that, and sometimes it works, and sometimes I don't know if I steal my stitch marker for something else. I don't know what I do. But this is where I'm at so far. I'm not too bad, doing too bad. I'm pretty close. I think they're going to be done by the next time I see you in 2 weeks, because I'm only going to make them like about right in here is probably where the heel is going to go. They're only going to be about this tall, right in there, and then I'm going to break for the heel, and this is going to be the foot and then the toe. I think I've got maybe 1 or 2 more inches. I have to sit down and do a little math. The thing that's great about this is if you go too far before you put the toe in, you just have a longer sock leg. So no big deal. Very, very fun. But I'm finding that with little girl socks or little kid socks, the rounds go so much faster because there's not as many stitches. I'm also using a 2.5 US 2.5. That's a bigger needle. For those of you who don't know, I do not use size 1s. I use size 2s. My hands can't handle size 1s very well. 0 is not even going to be happening. I'm not even going to consider it. So I have to make some adjustments. But they work for me because I don't wear my socks in my shoes. I just wear them around the house, and so does my husband. And Patricia's a little girl. She isn't gonna care. They're gonna be more of a slipper sock, but I've used 2.5 just because I wanted them a little bit bigger so that they would last her a little bit longer. She could grow into them a little bit. So yeah, so that's what we did. All right. So that's Patricia's socks. And that might be the last pair I make her for a little while. I'm not sure. We'll see. Then my scrappy socks, if you guys remember on the last podcast, I was doing the Keep It Simple stripes concept for my socks. We do 2 rows of one color, 2 rows of another, and you alternate for so many rows, and then you take one of those colors and replace it with another, and you continue alternating those 2 rows, and then you replace one of the first colors, the second first color. And if you look up Keep It Simple stripes, it is a knitting blanket. I think it's free online. I did it with crochet scarves. It's a very easy concept, and you just stripe, say yellow, blue, yellow, blue, yellow, blue, yellow, blue. Then you replace maybe the blue with a green, yellow, green, yellow, green, and then you replace the yellow with maybe red. So that's red, green, and it's like it alternates like brickwork. It's like a little bit off, and it makes this fantastic pattern. Maybe I'll stick a picture up. It's very hard to explain, but once you see it, you go, oh yeah, oh that's neat. Again, most awesome concepts are fairly simple. However, I realized that I was knitting, I had cast on my cuff. I did 20 rounds of knit 2, purl 2 in size 2, my needle size. And then I jumped to a size 3 because I have a ton of size 3 needles. And I thought I'm gonna make slipper socks out of this. And I got so far and I was like, oh, that's way too big, way too big. I don't want it that big. It was just a guess. It was just, I needed to go down and stitch how many stitches I did. So I pulled that out, and I decided I did do the cuff of both of them. So these are scrappy socks for me. I'm trying to use up scraps. So I have the cuffs done on both, and I have this from a pair of socks that I'd already done. It's really pretty. I really, really love it. And I started with that, and so I'm doing that for a while, and then every so many, I think I'm gonna go either 8 or 10 rounds. I was watching Therapy by Craft, and she was talking about these striped socks that she did, and it was a striping yarn, self-striping yarn, but the stripes were thicker. Instead of maybe a 5-row stripe, it was like an 8-row stripe, and she loved how that looked, and I loved how that looked. So I'm gonna go 8 to 10 rounds with this, and then I'm gonna put in another color, and then go back to this, and then put in maybe a darker pink, just dropped a needle. I have some yellow that will work with this yarn. I also have some dark blue. It's all colors in this yarn. And so we're going to see how that turns out, because why not? And again, these will be shorties, just shorties for me. So I did pull those back, and those will be my next pair of socks. So I worked on that. I worked on my Mobile Shawl by Stephen West. Clue 4, I decided I did not want to do Clue 4. This is in my project bag. I make all my own project bags. I didn't show you those. Hang on. So I did a bunch of bags where I did like one color up top, and then I'm coordinating, and then a solid with a little loop, and they're zippered and they're lined. This one just has a batik in there. There's no And they have like you could put a clip on there if you wanted to. I just thought it was easy to grab, but I tend to just grab them like that. So, and then this one I did, this one, now you're gonna see cat hair because I have 5 cats and I do clean, I swear, but they're cats. They just are furry. But this is really cute fabric. It's yarn and cats that are knitting. And I have my little Roxanne Deer Artworks tag on there, a coordinating fabric, and on the inside, this one has just these little cats that are marching along. So I made this one. I made like 5 or 6 of them. I made a bunch for gifts. But all my projects, I have one sitting here with some embroidery in it. That is music. And it's music terminology. And the inside is, and this is an embroidery project. That's a whole different ball game. Just some dotted fabric that I think is what I thought would go with it. And then I made, so basically it is a tote bag. It's got my little tag on it. And it also has a drawstring that comes up. I saw this pattern on YouTube. I wouldn't even know where to find that link. I mean, if you want to know, message me and I will look for it for you. But it holds bigger projects. I have 2 of those. I'll show you the other one when I get to it. But so I had decided to put these rectangles, and this stitch marker I remembered to keep on. It's backwards, sorry. All right. This one, I was here and I've gotten this much on there, and I'm just doing this intarsia thing. And it has an I-cord edge. It's just 10 rows or so. I did go through and mark every 10 rows all the way across and then check to see how many rows I had left over at the end, or how many stitches, and I had like 4 or 5 stitches. So then I went back and I shifted them all a little bit. So a few would have maybe 11 rows, but it's not going to be noticeable. So I'm still working on making sure I have it the right way. So this was my very scrappy shawl, very colorful, very autumnal. And now I'm putting these on there. And when I'm done, if it's still not big enough or I want more to it, I will pick up on the I-cord and I will do something else. We are now in the exploration phase of this shawl. I didn't plan on doing this shawl. I had a bunch of this yarn available. It's just acrylic, really loops and threads, super soft. And I thought, I'm just gonna join for the community. I always have a great time doing Stephen West stuff. I was always intimidated to do his knit-alongs, but I have found that it doesn't matter if I get done. It doesn't matter if it doesn't turn out well, as long as I am enjoying myself and I'm spending time with the community who's doing the same project. That's where the magic is for me. So, so yeah, I hadn't planned on this and I just dove in, and I don't have any regrets. I really want to get this fairly big and to wear outside. Because it's acrylic, I can easily throw it in the wash if I need to, but I want to wear it this fall when we sit on the deck or we sit down by the fire pit in our backyard. So yeah, so that's how far I've gotten. I have to say, doing these is really fun. I learned how to do this on his knit along last fall. I don't remember the name of the shawl, but the 2025 shawl, fall shawl, had some intarsia in it, and I love it. It is very fun. It's very easy to figure out. It's very easy to do. And at some point, I hope to do more intarsia. And I have a lot more of this yarn, and so I very well be making it bigger. And I just actually sitting here talking to you had the thought of I might throw in some crochet. 'cause that's faster. But I don't want it to not be somewhat cohesive. I'm a little bit nervous about all of the rectangles being so square in comparison to all of the waves of that shawl. But last year's shawl in the fall was that way too, and I liked the look. Not everybody liked the look, but I liked it. And that these rectangles, that's not what Stephen West had us putting on that section. I'm just doing that because I didn't want to do what he had put on there. I didn't really have the right amount of scraps to make it look right. Um, and it's very mesh looking, and I don't want meshy, and it has points. And it wasn't, for some reason, my shawls, when I do them, are just smaller when I follow along with his pattern. They're always so much smaller than a lot of other people's. So I don't know what's the deal with my tension. That's okay, because that, like I said, I was just experimenting with that. So, so those are the 4 works in progress I've been working on the most lately. But I did work a little bit on my dad's throw. I only put maybe 2 rows in. I did work on my granny square sweater. Um, I did connect a few of those squares, but like I said, I'm just not going to show those because there's not enough to take the time to show you all of that. And that quilt that I had been working on quite some time ago, I finished all the hand quilting on it. All I need to do is get the binding on, and I am hoping, and I'm going to say I'll have it ready by the next podcast, so I have a little accountability, because I would really like to get that done and have that be a finished project too. Most of the time, everything I talk about and show on here is going to be yarn related, but I do a lot of other things, and I have a lot of other projects sitting here that need to get done. So I'm kind of challenging myself to get a couple things done each month. So you will see some extra stuff. And I'll talk more about that at the end, because we have a brand new craft room in this house. So that's a very exciting thing. All right, so cast on, I have 1. It shouldn't be a surprise. I showed you the yarn last time. It is, sorry, my husband's puntal sweater. I should pop a picture up right there. It is my first adult sweater. And my printer did not do a good, I did it on draft, so it does not have a lot of accurate coloring. So I will put a picture up for you. But I got started. I'm on the first section. I have the neck done, and I did my swatch, and the swatch turned out exactly the right size. I was so excited. And so I did get started. I'm still on the first skein. I was also really worried that I didn't get enough yarn, but I think it's going to be fine. But it's like a DK weight, and so I haven't used a lot of DK, not in years. It's always been either worsted or fingering. This is helpful. I guess it goes like this. So I'm this far on it. That's the back. This is the front. And it is wonderful. I feel like such a big girl doing this. Like, look, I'm making grown-up stuff. I mean, I do my socks, but for those of you who don't do socks, I can tell you socks are just not very difficult. They're not a challenging thing. There's a few things that you have to kind of pay attention to, the heel and the toe. But for the most part, you're just going around and around and around and around. And they're extremely relaxing, and that's why people love them so much. Doing something that you have to really get fitted on. I mean, adult bodies are so, so different. Kids' bodies are so easy. I've done so many baby sweaters, but I've never done adult sweaters. And so I'm very excited for this. Matt is very excited for this, which is awesome. And if it doesn't turn out the way it needs to, I have no problem frogging to make this work. But I will be recording all the different things so that, and I may even make a second one, because I want to learn about sweater making. I know right now that Summerlee is designing sweaters, and that just blows my brain. I can't, like, all the different sizes, all the different things you need to know to do that is incredible. I will just be happy if I can get it down to making sweaters that fit my husband or I. So That is super, super exciting. So I will be taking all the notes. If you make sweaters and if there's something that a word of wisdom that you would like to share, please do. I would love to hear it. And this is also in a project bag that I made. So it is a tote bag. I wish I would have made adjustable straps. I made very long straps so it can go over my shoulder easily. It looks like this. It's little kitties. They're so cute. And then I had this embroidery square that I embroidered. It's a mandala. There was a book that I have with different embroideries that are mandalas. And I used to paint mandalas, dot paint. And I did that for quite some time and I enjoyed it. And so I put that in there, and then up top it comes out, and of course it's another drawstring bag. So then it looks like this if you need to expand it for a bigger project. These are my favorite types of large bags. I think Steve and West just put out a video talking about some bags that they are releasing in new colors. And I saw that they had a bag like this in there. I have no idea what they cost. I'm on a budget, and we have some big financial goals that we're working towards, my husband and I. And so I tend to make my own because I have the fabric. So I just make one. And so I did this one. Not that I don't want to support people, because I surely, surely do, but I would probably support that in the form of hand-dyed yarn. I also have a friend who owns a wool business, so, you know, I try to direct it that way. But the bags, I don't know anybody who makes bags personally, so I make my own. So, yeah, so that's that bag. Let's see, let me check my notes. I think that is everything for in general for what I've been working on. I did get yarn. Where are you? Alrighty, I did get the yarn for my Stephen West surprise summer sock along. So what we were supposed to get is a solid and either a fade or a variegated or a patterning of some kind. And I can't remember the name of the yarn he recommended. It's called Crazy, but I can't remember the name of the company because it's not one I'm super familiar with. Starts with a Z. Either way, it's a little bit higher price than I was wanting to spend, but then I couldn't find yarn that really worked as well as that yarn because it's beautiful yarn. I think it's like $38 for a skein, and I was like, oh no, worth it, obviously worth it. I also, I don't know, something about me, I always like to do things different. I don't know why, it's kind of obnoxious, but I found this yarn called Saunter. It is 50% superwash merino and 25% bamboo and 25% polyamide. And it is really, really pretty. It's just gorgeous. And it makes stripes and a little bit of fair isle. So it has a pattern, and it's really neat. And then for the solid, I got Uni Merino, which is 75% superwash and 25% nylon. And it looks like this. So these are the yarns that I got for my sock along that starts on July 28th. I did 2 swatches. I did, because this pattern calls for a size 0 knitting needle. No, not gonna do it. I care about my body too much. I can't, my hands can't handle it. I sleep with compression gloves on as it is. I still wake up with my fingers swollen. I have to make concessions because I do want to continue to knit and crochet and do things with my hands. So I made 1 swatch with a size 1 and 1 swatch with a size 2. So this is my size 1 swatch. And when I did size 1 knitting needles, which is still small for me, my hands did get sore, they did start cramping, but the gauge was right on. So obviously zeros would have been too small for me anyway. My gauge was right on with the 0 now, or with a 1. I also made a swatch with a size 2 knitting needle, which is the one knitting needle size I use to make my socks. And um, it was a little bit bigger, but my hands felt fine. So I haven't decided what size I'm going to do. Um, if I use a size 2, I am very comfortable with doing the math to find out what stitch size, what I basically all I would have to do is figure out what my gauge is and how many stitches I would need for the same size sock. And I'd probably just go down a size in the sock options that he offers. The first year I did the sock along with him 2 years ago, contrast blast. I had no idea about how this worked, and I did the one that you cast on 84 stitches using tiny, tiny needles, and they still were really big. They're almost a slouchy sock. So I could go down a size anyway and just not need to knit that many stitches on cast on that many stitches. I'm thinking maybe it's because he's a man and he needs a bigger sock. I don't know. Or obviously, like my gauge is just way different than his is, and that's a good thing because I will be able to switch my needles to a more comfortable size. And the pattern does say this is going to make a firmer fabric, and I don't want a firmer fabric. I'm okay if it's not a firmer fabric. I'm doing this for the community, to be with the community. So, and to probably learn something new, because you always learn something new with Stephen West, which is really fun and very exciting because I find things like intarsia that I didn't know I loved. So I'm very, very excited. I was very tempted to even take the day off, but I'm not going to. I'm switching departments and I have a hearing problem. I'm We're working through that. But where I'm at in my department is too loud. I have to move to a different department, and I'm moving that week. And I don't want to. They've been so good to me. I do not want to ask for more. It's fine, but it'll be hard to go to work that day. Always that first day. I just want to get started. So I'm so excited to see how this looks, to see how the pattern looks. If any of you are doing the surprise sock along, I would love to know down below. Please comment. And if you're going to be in the Ravelry group, let me know so I can look for you and look for your pictures if you're posting pictures. So excited. So yeah. And so that's the only other thing to share. The next time I see you, I will have cast that on because the new clue will have come out. I am kind of playing with maybe doing just a video series of just that experience because I watch all of those, especially the one in the fall. Everybody does these little videos of just their clue finish once they are done, and people can watch them after they've been done with their clue if they so choose. And I watch all of those, and they don't do as many on the socks and the spring one because that's a newer thing, but they do a lot in the fall. And so I'm playing around with doing a whole separate video series of the 4 clues for the socks. It depends on time. And I am trying not to cast on any more socks until I finish out the 2 scrap socks I'm doing. And so I just have this sock along project to work on because I want to do a cast on day. I love watching cast on days. I think Jen from Cast On Diaries just did 6 cast-ons in a day. I can't wait to do the 12 cast-ons of Christmas that I heard about from Carla Knits. She does it. I can't remember the name of the person who starts that. It's a Yarn of Yarns, I believe. But I've been watching her finish her cast-ons, and I'm thinking I would really like to try it. I have several projects that aren't cast on, are ready for me to do them. And I'm thinking, what a wonderful day of just starting all of these fun projects. Probably be overwhelmed with dopamine, but that's okay. Finally, we finished painting this craft room downstairs, and where my son was renting 2 rooms from us. One became a sitting room, one became the craft room. Um, we have a house that's a little bit bigger than it needs to be for 2 people, but it was a perfect house, great price, incredible interest rate. So we grabbed this house about 5 years ago, and so we're just kinda turning it into our personal staycation. It really is. Being home, we have all of these great spaces inside and out, and we don't necessarily need to go anywhere to enjoy life. And now this craft room, everything that has to do with non-fabric and non-yarn is coming out of this room and going down there because I do a lot of painting. I've got quilling and I've got um, acrylics and watercolor and all of that. So that's coming out, and I will be able to change this sewing room around so that I have more space for my yarn, for my fabric, because I'm really trying to finish up using what I own. And I'm not in a no buy. It's not that I'm not buying, but I am on a why are you buying? Is this to finish something? Is this for a special project? Do you have something in mind for this? And not just I think I want that just to have it. And those days I've done so well this year, so well this year with not doing that. So to the point where I have less than 10 full skeins of sock yarn left, which I think is pretty good, but maybe even less than 5. No, probably not. I have gotten some colored tonals for color work. I want to do some stone knits socks. So maybe that'll be on the agenda for the cast on. But let me know if you're interested in any of that, or if there's something that you would like to see. Every time I do these, I try to do something a little bit more so I can learn how to do better content and learn how to do better videos. It's a work in progress. I'm not in a rush, but want to um, I do want to provide things that people are interested in. So if you are still here, thank you for staying. Like and subscribe if you would. Um, and join me in 2 weeks for another episode on the Crocheters Journal. Okay. Everyone take care of themselves. Please be safe out there. If you live where I'm at, stay indoors or limit going outside with the smoke. It's not healthy. And yeah, have a great day. Bye.